Hi guys, Mike back again with part 5, nope, part 6 of the, are we on part 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, part 6 of the Q&A. We're just going to rock on because we've still got 40 odd questions to go. So we move on to the Jank Master, who says, good going on Making 2K. My questions are related to your Wild West project. Have you named your town as of yet? Will you be doing an intro demo for Dead Man's Hand? Have you played Legends of the Old West? If so, which do you prefer? I haven't played Legends of the Old West. The only Wild West game I've played is Dead Man's Hand, which I really enjoy. Actually, I like the kind of fast gameplay, and I like the initiative, the way initiative and the way that turns are decided as part of that game. I've not really thought about doing an intro or a demo game for it, but well, you know, maybe could in the future. Certainly, once I sort of get to grips with making kind of playthrough videos, I suppose. And like I said in the previous video, I'd been playtesting a board game which I made a video on. So we'll see, maybe. As for naming my town, I haven't actually. Next time I kind of I've got a couple of boards left to make. The whole thing was going to be, I think it's going to be 6x4. The whole thing, the whole table, made up of 4 boards that all kind of link together. So one, I've made a big one. There's 2 sort of big-ish boards, 3x2 and 2x2, and when you put them all together, they make a 6x4. So I've made what have I made? A 3x2 and a 2x2. And I need to make another 3x2 and another 2x2, and then once that's all made, I'll probably name it. But just at the moment, it's just called Dead Man's Hand. So, but no, I've not thought of naming it yet. But thank you for your question. Elstonation, congrats, dude, nice one. My question is, how do you pronounce your YouTube name? And it is Cruor Angelus Silicis. And if you go back through the videos, if you care, you will find out what Cruor Angelus Silicis is for. And again, you know, YouTube, when you create your YouTube channel, it was June 2011, and you're trying to come up with a name, and you can't think of a name, and you just sort of come up with something random. So there we go. So Cruor Angelus Silicis. Crusader Wargaming. Well done on 2K subs, Mike. My question is, when are you going to fly your rockets again? Probably not, actually. I've got no thought about doing it. I've kind of lost the love of it, really. I mean, the next minute or so is going to be very rocketry related. So, what happened? We were doing events. We take our rockets out, and we do demonstrations. We do demonstrations at air shows, like model air shows. There's one in Yatton near Bristol called Woodspring Wings every year. And we would take our rockets and do 2 demonstrations over the Saturday and Sunday, or 4 in total, 2 on each day. And I had a bit of an accident at Woodsprings 2 years ago, where my parachute didn't deploy properly, and my rocket came down under power, I suppose, by a parachute, but it was tangled, and ended up breaking my altimeter. Now, those of you that don't know, there's an electronic component within the rocket, or can be, which records acceleration and velocity and altitude, and also sets off your parachutes. Will set off a black powder or gunpowder charge, which then will deploy your parachutes, which is the key to flying high altitude rockets. So I broke my altimeter. Altimeter broke when the rocket effectively crashed, and the altimeters are really expensive. The altimeter I think I was running was an RDAS, which runs the best part of £300, and I can't rely on it. I mean, it kind of works. I've tested it, and it kind of works, kind of doesn't, and I don't trust it to fly hundreds of pounds worth of rockets on, just for the safety aspect, if nothing else. So because my altimeter's bust, I can't fly high altitude rockets. So yeah, I'm gonna really kind of. And at the same time, the vendor world in UK rocketry kind of stopped. You know, there's one vendor in the UK that you can buy rocketry stuff of. Otherwise, it's getting it from the States, which is a pain and expensive. So yeah, probably not. To be fair, I mean, I kind of started selling it all. Really, I've kept some stuff you can see up on the. Look at there, my orientation of things. Yeah, rockets on the walls, just because I like displaying them. But yeah, I've got no plans to start flying rockets again. Heresy Productions, congrats on 2,000 subs. Great selection of prizes, all really good. Well, thank you. What are your top 3 miniature games you're interested in getting, playing, but have so far resisted? Is there anything in the background that interests you to become? Is there anything in the background that interested you to become a Blood Angels fanatic, or is it primarily that you just started playing them first or something? Okay, so that's probably the easier one to answer because I've kind of answered it already. It was that White Dwarf article by Andy Chambers and that army list, that 2,510 point army list, and because I'm quite compartmentalized and I like a list and I wanted to make that list and that was my goal. Never actually made the list actually, but that's what it was, and then just sort of started collecting, and your kind of loyalty lies with the army you started collecting. So that's where it came from basically, and I've just been interested and I've liked them ever since, and nothing really ever kind of pushed me a different way. And I think, well, I'm too heavily invested into it now. 22,006 points, as we already know. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'd do. I mean, I don't know, you put it all in storage or sell it all or to start something else. I don't know, but I still really like it. So that's that. So my top 3 miniatures games that I'm interested in getting or playing but have resisted so far, I suppose. I don't know if I can think of 3, to be honest. I did get into Bolt Action, bought a load of stuff, like I said, and ended up selling it. Did get into Drop Zone Commander, bought a load of stuff, ended up selling it. So I think the top 3 would be the Marvel miniatures game, and you're doing a wonderful series. Those of you that don't know Heresy Productions, search him out on YouTube because it's Heresy Productions with a Z at the end or a Z, and he's doing a really good series on the Marvel miniatures game. So there's a Marvel miniatures game, DC miniatures game, Flash Arrow miniatures game, which are all kind of the same thing. It's the miniatures from Knight Models. So that's certainly one I would be interested in getting into. I mean, in the back of my head, I mean, I still am interested in Bolt Action, but not now. And I would like to get into some sort of real world World War II game like that. And the third one might be, I mean, the reason I got into Drop Zone Commander, or wanted to get into Drop Zone Commander, was to have like a small kind of, sci-fi battle game, I suppose, with ships and stuff rather than minis. So I don't know. Certainly, yeah, Marvel miniatures game, Bolt Action, or something like that. And I don't know actually. Yeah, I'm not sure. Because I'm really trying to consolidate my life, and I don't want to think about it too much because I'll start getting into it. Okay, Steve Furby. This is a big question. Oh my gosh. Okay. Firstly, congratulations on 2K subs. Well deserved for some quality content. Thank you. My question would be this: whether or not GW do it in a theoretical 40k end times, where we see the return of the missing Primarchs, Sanguinius would be absent for obvious reasons. Clearly, he's dead. However, as lore-wise, he was one of the most important and popular Primarchs to the story. Could you see a way that he could return also? Perhaps as a psychic manifestation of the Sanguinar, transforming himself into Sanguinius himself. It's said that the Sanguina, appears when Blood Angels most need him. The latent psychic gene seed of Blood Angels from Big S could manifest to summon him. A normal army's combined need summons the Sanguina, perhaps with the threat of the Tyranids to Baal and the summoning of successor chapters to defense. The combined will of what is effectively the Blood Angel Legion could combine it enough to reform Sanguinius. Whoo! Okay. Yeah. Well, clearly, yes. I mean, as a Blood Angel fan, I think Sanguinius knew Sanguinius had the power of foresight, and I think he would have foreseen his death at the hands of Horus. But for the greater good, for the for to create the chink in Horus's armor to allow the Emperor to take him out. I think Sanguinius would have foreseen that. So yeah, I think he would have known he was going to die, but he knew he had to die for Horus to be killed. And whether Sanguinius actually could bring himself really to kill Horus, I don't know actually. But there we go. And I think that's quite nice musings. And I do think that the power that the kind of latent psychic gene of the Blood Angels could potentially bring Sanguinius back. Don't actually know what happens to Sanguinius's body. I don't know where it is. I don't know where it rests or where it is in 40k lore. So I don't know that kind of side of things actually. But yes, I think that the certainly on Sigma's Prime, when Ka'Bandha took out hundreds of Blood Angels in a single sweep of his axe, which then put Sanguinius into a kind of a coma, and they had to get the psychic, the librarians to bring him back out of that coma. I think in reverse, the latent psychic gene seed of the Blood Angels could in turn bring Sanguinius back from the dead. There we go. Yes. So yes. Anyway, that aside, I'm absolutely dying for Forge World to bring out Sanguinius. I've been waiting for so long. I've resisted. I haven't bought any of the Horus Heresy character models. So I want Sanguinius to be my first one. And I think he's going to be last. I think they're going to bring out all sorts before they bring out Sanguinius. I think they're going to bring out Demon Primarchs first. I think they're going to bring out all sorts first. But I'm dying for them to bring out Sanguinius, and I think he's going to be the sweetest model that they've done with the wings and stuff. I think it's going to be an absolutely stunning model. But there we go. That aside. Oh my gosh, and it's Steve Furby again. Or, his question continues, or as an alternate, if the 13th Black Crusade reaches Terra, Sanguinius' soul, which may have been mooching around the warp or something, might sense the danger to the Emperor and manifest himself in the real world to fight and die for defending his father again. I'm sure some shenanigans should be justified saying that Sanguinius' original sacrifice bound his soul to that of the Emperor, or some such, because the warp and stuff. Well, indeed. Have you any of your own ideas or any thoughts how end times might play out in 40k? I don't, to be fair. No, I've not really thought about it because I don't play the game, and I've only read the first 5 books of Horus Heresy series, and I read Fear to Tread, which is 23, 24, I think. So I sort of jumped. So that's my only kind of knowledge of the 30k lore, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, just going back to your original question, or your original statement, I think that Sanguinius could come back, and I think that would be a cool way. And even if he comes back, like you say, manifested as a Sanguina, like Sanguina on steroids, maybe, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, that'd be really interesting. But I think Sanguinius will have a part to play in it somehow. Phil Ward says, "Hey man, congrats on 2k subs. My question is, how long have you been collecting 40k? And how many points do you have?" Well, there we go. We know the answer to that one already. But if you haven't watched previous videos and can't be bothered, I've been collecting 40k on and off for 32 years. 30 years. And I have 22,006 points of Blood Angels. Matt Groening. I'm sure it's not the actual Matt Groening, but you never know. How much time do you spend on your hobby versus family time? And again, I've kind of answered this one already. I mean, I think probably my wife would say something different, but family does come first, clearly, and I do hobby in my spare time, evenings basically. So spend more time with my family than I do hobbying, unless I got a day off or something, when I'd spend more time doing hobbying than I would with my family because my wife would be in work and my kids would be in school. So, but yeah, it's kind of getting that balance really. 33 Clay Dog. Massive congrats on the subs, mate. What's your favourite model / miniature in your collection and why? Again, I think we've answered this one already. I love the Reaver Titan. Just for the magnet work and the way his arms work. But in answer to the previous question from the previous video, I think it was, I'm really pleased with the Cerastus Knight. I'm really pleased with the way he came out, the positioning of him, the posing of him, the paint job I like. And just that it's a really nice model. I mean, I really like the Titans, but I mean, the Cerastus Knights are quite lean, quite, I don't know, gangly almost. They look like they can really shift, and cause some damage. So yeah, I like my Titans are my kind of favourite models in my collection, just because of the size of them and the effort they take to put together and paint. Okay, Wargamer Viking, welcome. Thank you for contributing. Massive congrats again, man. So why is your name Cruor Angelus Silicis? Peace. Okay, made a video about this before, but again for people who didn't see that video, Cruor Angelus Silicis, and again this will answer Elstination's question as well, is made up of 3 words: Cruor, Angelus, Silicis, just lumped together. What, I don't know. Whatever. When I was creating my YouTube channel, I wanted to kind of promote or stay loyal to my love of Blood Angels, and Blood Angels is what the channel was going to be about predominantly. And so Cruor Angelus is Blood Angels, and Silicis is rock, basically. So Cruor Angelus Silicis, in a pidgin Google Translate way, translates to Blood Angels rock. Yeah, Blood Angels rock. And I've done that before. So that's what it means, Blood Angels rock. And with Silicis being, like I said before, kind of a Latin. Translated into Latin. So some sort of pidgin Latin, because it's like Silicis, silica into sort of rock, or some geo translation. But there we go. That's what it means. Anyway, so there we go. Frost and Fists. Congrats on making 2 grand in subscribers, my man. Thank you. To celebrate, I went back and watched all 5 of the previous Q&As to try and avoid doubling up on questions. In truth, I rather enjoyed getting to know you a bit over the Q&A. Well, thank you. That was my first series of Q&As that I did for my 1,000 subscriber competition. So, number 1. During your last QA session, many questions were met with the response that you never actually learned to play, but were learning soon. Have you played since then, and how do you believe you've done? I've done terribly. I played once, but I really enjoyed it. And again, I've answered some questions throughout this video series about just trying to get my backside in gear to get a game in. I've probably read the rulebook 2 or 3 more times since that last Q&A. I've played a game, but again, held my hand, had it walked through with me. So I've done terribly, but actually my first game was a draw, so didn't lose. And then, okay, Frost and Fists again. Question 2. It was actually very cool to see that in a previous Q&A you were asked about a choice of lightsaber, and immediately knew that you wanted to be a consular, even given a fairly accurate description of them. Unfortunately, I have to take away style points because you chose a yellow lightsaber, and the traditional colour of the consular's blade is green. Whoops. On a similar note, Luke rode the Millennium Falcon for a time, and in KOTOR, I don't know what that is, KOTOR, you got the Ebon Hawk. If you were, I don't know what any of that means, sorry mate. I don't know what that is. On a similar note, Luke rode the Millennium Falcon for a time in KOTOR, and you got the Ebon Hawk. I don't know. I should have read these questions before. I don't know what that means. But the question is, if you were a Jedi, what 40k ship would you use to cross the galaxy, and what 1 force power would you specialise in? Well, 40k ship. 40k ship. I figure I'd be, Jedi for good, but we want to sort of travel in style, I suppose. So some sort of Imperial Star Destroyer that we'd hijacked and taken over, and or a Super Star Destroyer or something. We jumped on board and had it all, and it's ours now. So we'll travel in style in our Super Star Destroyer, or our Imperial Star Destroyer. My first thought is the Millennium Falcon, but I don't know. Is that Jedi's vehicle? I don't know. just because I'm building one. And what force power would you specialize in? Yeah, I think it would be to kind of break people's will and to force that will. You know, these are not the droids you're looking for, type of thing. But to kind of that kind of mind power where you can, you know, make people do stuff. That's probably dark power though, isn't it? But yeah. Anyway, so there we go. And then Frost and Fist again. In your last QA, you had a seemingly passionate rant about how you don't like breakfast breads of any kind, no flapjacks, pancakes, muffin, bagels, etc. What's the story behind your passionate aversion to breakfast breads? Thank you for your time. I just had loads of ideas for questions after watching the first Q&A. I wish you much contributed success, my friend, Wolf Brother Mythos. Thank you, Wolf Brother Mythos. Much appreciated. And sorry about the garbled responses to your questions, but clearly you're in. And again, Frosts and Fists are another two chap channel. Frosts is Wolf Brother Mythos, and Fists is a chap called Freak. I don't think that's his real name, but it might be. So yeah, I mean, if they win, what happens to the prize? You know. Anyway, the story behind my passionate aversion to breakfast breads. I actually quite like breakfast breads. I will eat. I like toast and crumpets and bagels and muffins and flapjacks and etc. etc. It comes from someone asked me, do I want a slice? I think someone asked me, do I want a slice of toast? Which comes from an episode of Red Dwarf, which is you probably know, which is a UK sci-fi series about the last human. It's 3 million years. He there's an accident. He gets put into stasis on his ship Red Dwarf, and there's an accident on Red Dwarf where everyone dies with a nuclear explosion, like a radiation leak. Sorry, and then he comes out of stasis 3 million years later. The computer system lets him out of stasis 3 million years later when the radiation levels have subsided. So it's him on his own. But the ship's computer brings back the person who he's spoken to the most on ship, which is the human guy's called Lister, and they bring back a holographic projection of a shipmate that he's spoken to the most, which he's called Rimmer, and they don't get on. They don't get on at all. And Lister had a cat on board as well, which over 3 million years has evolved to kind of like a human cat. So, and there's a robot that they end up rescuing in the first series. So they basically bumble around bumble around trying to get back to Earth, but they never really seem to get anywhere near it, you know. So anyway, it's from an episode of Red Dwarf where God, it's mad how you remember, isn't it? Where they try, the computer system on board Red Dwarf loses all of its intelligence basically, so it can't get the ship back to Earth. So they figure out a way to increase the computer's power and give her a high IQ so they can get her back to Earth. But in doing so, then reduces the computer's life expectancy, and then the ship's gonna, all the life support systems are gonna fail or whatever. But in that episode, I think it's that episode anyway, they got a talking toaster, and the toaster is obsessed with giving people toast. And that's all he says. Do you want a piece of toast? Do you want a crumpet? Do you want a flapjack? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want a muffin? Blah, 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 blah. And it really annoys Lister. And when the talking toaster says, do you want a piece of toast? Lister then launches into this rant about, I don't want toast, I don't want muffin, don't want bagel, don't want flapjacks, blah, 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 blah. So I just reiterated Lister's rant from Red Dwarf when I was asked if I wanted a piece of toast. So that's a very long answer to a very simple question. But we've answered more than 10 questions on that one, but we're on 25 minutes, best part of. So we're going to call it a day there and catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.